I am excited to be here with the New Jersey Teacher of the Year, RCSJ grad, Angel Santiago. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to talking to you.
Let's start in a big way. This honor took you from the classroom to the White House. Please tell us about that.
Yeah, it was exciting. Due to COVID, we weren't too sure if we were going to get that opportunity. But one of the perks of being a New Jersey State Teacher of the Year is a visit to the White House, and it was a great experience to meet the president, and more importantly, his wife, our first lady, Dr. Jill Biden, who herself is an educator and an educator from Southern New Jersey at that. So, I mean, it was a great honor to be invited by her, to be able to meet the president, to be able to meet the Secretary of Education, Mr. Miguel Cardona, who, is a Puerto Rican elementary school teacher from Connecticut. For me, it was really cool to see someone of that stature. The whole week for Washington consisted around some professional development with the Smithsonian Institute, as well as a visit to the White House that we just discussed. But more importantly, we were given the opportunity to go to our senators and meet with our senators and our representatives on issues facing education. And we had the distinct pleasure and honor to visit with Representative Donald Norcross, who actually took us into the Capitol building, which was an experience in itself. So those were two of the things where I think being State Teacher of the Year, where I would never forget being able to be at the South Lawn in the White House, but more importantly, 6 months after the events of January 6th, to be invited formally into the Capitol building with a representative on a good term basis, fighting for education. That's something I'll never forget, and something that I think, I look forward to possibly be pursuing in the future. So yeah, I mean, the whole Washington week was, it was inspirational.
It's clear from this honor that you are an amazing teacher, but you didn't follow the traditional path to this career. Tell us about your journey to becoming a teacher.
It's extremely important because, Rowan College of South Jersey, especially the Violin campus, before it was called Rowan College of South Jersey, it was Cumberland County College. They still had partnerships with Rowan, but the traditional route for some, it works, right? But for others, it doesn't. And I was one of those other. I was categorized as other. And the more and more I talk to other state teachers, they have similar stories where they had another career and then came into teaching and pursued teaching in an untraditional manner. And so I took several years off. After high school, I went on tour. I was a musician for several years, which was an experience in its own. I was able to see every corner of this country, and that was a great experience that I would never trade. But when that was all done, I knew I wanted to come back home, do what I needed to do to become a teacher. And part of that, coming back home at 26, I was an adult. So I didn't get any of the benefits of living at home with my mother anymore and trying to do the college route that way. So I was a 26-year-old freshman in community college, working full time and taking night courses, but still having a full course load, 20 some credits per market period, 12 credits per market period. It depended on how much, I could take. And I went that route, and I want others to understand that, especially those who are thinking about switching careers, or those who are just out of high school but are not quite sure what they want to do. They want to make some money. You can do it. You can take the night courses. You can, depending upon your family situation, the community college route offers another avenue to pursue something that you think, a career that you think belongs to you, or that you want to be a part of. And teaching was that career for me. So as I was working full time, I was still taking education courses, got my associate's degree, went to a partner program in Fairleigh Dickinson University, and pursued my educational career that way. Went through the master's. It was like a master's. It was a 3 years in one program. Got my master's degree in education, in elementary education, and a bachelor's in humanities. And, was able to find employment quite quickly. And you know, the rest is history. I've been in the classroom for 10 years and counting. And I think a lot of the lessons that I learned on how to budget time and time management and being able to take on, you know, a workload that is that might deter others was taught to me by working full time and going to those night classes. That was taught to me by the experience of going to a community college. And I think for that reason, I was better prepared to be successful in education, because as we know, education is a very stressful job, right? It's a very demanding job. But I think, you know, that route that I chose prepared me to be a successful educator. So, you know, like untraditional route, but it was a successful route nonetheless.
You are a graduate of Cumberland campus when it was Cumberland County College, and your mother earned a degree there as well. How was that experience?
I it's crazy. I think back about it a little emotionally, right? Because my mom was the second person in my entire family. We are, you know, my family's from Puerto Rico. I'm third generation. She's second generation. She was born in New Jersey, but you know, we didn't have many opportunities growing up, especially her, to go to college. It wasn't something that was in the cards for many of her friends. And so she went straight into the workforce at 17 with a 1-year-old, you know. So, you know, to some extent, you know, I grew up with my mom. When she decided to go back to college in her mid-20s, just like myself, she invited me along with her, and her professors were so accepting. And we talk about equity and knowing and meeting your students where they are. Her professors understood that. So much so that, you know, they allowed me to participate in some of the courses. I remember Mr. Johnson, who was a psychology teacher for my mother. You know, 20 years down the line, he was my psychology teacher at Cumberland County. Senor Munsik, who was her Spanish 1 teacher, was my high school Spanish 1 teacher. And my, you know, so it was, you know, an experience like no other. It was almost like a community experience. It was an extension for me of, you know, the public school system. And the fact of the matter is that we got, you know, we had a world-class institution, world-class education with professors who weren't far removed from the K-12 setting, which is great, which I think is great because they understand how education works. It was great because they knew where their students were coming from. They worked with their students. They knew the lives of their students. And then, you know, it was a great experience for me to be a part of that. Not only growing up as a kid, and seeing my mom as she graduated with her associates in sociology, but then following her footsteps, you know, 2 decades later and getting my associates in elementary education and continuing to pursue that. I had a great teacher. I had a great role model, my mother. And you know, that's an experience that her and I share. And she couldn't be more proud. And I remember going to her graduation, just like she remembered going to mine, right there in the parking lot of Cumberland County campus.
Do you have any advice for someone considering a career in education?
Yes, please come. Please come to education, right? We need the best, the brightest. We need we need good fathers, good brothers. We need good mothers, good sisters. If you feel like you fit into this category, I tell you one thing, this is the most beautiful profession because and I've done a lot of things in my life, from housing inspector to musician, but this is the only profession that I wake up in the morning wanting to go to and missing when I go home, and always thinking about this, right? And always thinking about my kids, because you make real world connections. Teaching, when you teach, you are responsible for what I believe is the world's most precious resource, which is our future. And, you know, there is no feeling like seeing the multiple aha moments, not just academically from your kids, but when you see them grow into a better person and knowing that you had some part that you played and seeing them progress as a empathetic and compassionate person, there's just no better feeling in the world.
Angel, thank you so much for joining us today. You are absolutely incredible.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.